for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. With the election just a few days away, this week we are showcasing our coverage of the race's issues and the candidates. Coming up, what is Project 2025? Conservative activists say they have a plan for sweeping changes to the federal government if Donald Trump returns to the White House. It's the race that could shift political power in San Diego County. A former San Diego mayor is hoping to unseat the current county supervisor in District 3. It's one of the many election explainers that we have for you in this newscast. And the election is not just about people, it's also about money. From school bonds to tax hikes, voters have some decisions to make about how to fund their communities. Last month, KPBS hosted a debate between the candidates for San Diego mayor, and you can watch it in full on the KPBS YouTube page. Here's Katie Anastas with a recap from that event.
More than 600 indoor shelter beds are set to close by the end of the year. Mayoral candidate Larry Turner says he'd stop that from happening.
On day one, we got to put tourniquets on all the beds that we're losing. You know, he has had temporary Band-Aid approaches to this. Many of these beds are going to be gone in January.
The beds are at 2 shelters set to close. Turner didn't say how he would stop them from closing.
There was no plan in that answer just a moment ago.
The city is responding to the anticipated loss of beds by expanding campgrounds for people experiencing homelessness. Critics say the campground's amenities and case management are inadequate. City council members say it's better than nothing while the city seeks locations for new shelters.
They're not beds. He's changed the definition of that to where living in a parking lot or living in your car is something that is an opportunity. That's not helping homeless people.
Our data shows that over 80% of the folks who are accessing our safe sleeping sites are accessing our homeless shelter system for the very first time. This is helping us to reach folks who we've never been previously able to bring in off the streets, surround them with the services to diagnose the underlying causes of their homelessness, and then help us address it.
The candidates also debated San Diego's unsafe camping ordinance, which prohibits tent camping in public areas.
We don't have enough police to go out there and contact them 4 times before we take enforcement.
What I've discovered is a real inconsistency, a really chaotic approach to this issue from my opponent here, who opposed the grant's past decision, saying that it criminalizes homelessness. But he's here tonight telling you that he wants to end our progressive enforcement model, something that he should know is not possible to do because it's the subject of a piece of legal settlement.
Gloria points to a drop in the monthly count of homeless people downtown as a sign of success. But advocates for the homeless say many people are just being moved outside of the city limits. The candidates also discussed potentially allowing homeowners to sell their accessory dwelling units. Gloria says he supports the idea.
I'm going to always use an all-of-the-above approach to try and build more housing that is attainable to working and middle-class people.
Turner opposes it. He says the city should focus on lowering prices of existing housing instead.
Every place you go to in the city, if you drive around, you'll see is leasing. There's spaces there. The problem is it's not affordable. So to just continue to build more in the hopes that it's just going to lower the prices, that's not happening here in San Diego.
Turner and Gloria also debated public safety, infrastructure, and city finances. A recording of the full debate is on our website, kpbs.org. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
In this election cycle, KPBS launched a partnership with iNewsSource and Voice of San Diego called Public Matters. It's about the issues at the heart of our democracy, including upcoming election. Amita Sharma recently talked with the Voice of San Diego, Scott Lewis, about some of the races that have his attention.
Scott, on election night, when the polls close, the results are coming in. What race will you scroll down to first?
The first one I will look at is the county supervisor's race, District 3. Incumbent Tara Lawson-Remer, a Democrat, is trying to hold her seat against the Republican challenger, Kevin Faulconer, former mayor of San Diego. Everybody's watching that. Millions of dollars are flowing into that race. It's going to be a real nail biter, I think, and everybody's really interested because there's so much at stake, especially for housing, homelessness, how the county's going to go forward. The other one that I'm really interested in, I'm obsessed with it. I think I might be the only one in the state, but that's Prop 5. I think it'll be really close, 50-50, and it'll have a big impact on cities and counties going forward, whether they can raise property taxes to build stuff.
So let's talk about that District 3 county race a little bit. You had been on the program recently and you had said linking a candidate to Trump is showing that it could hurt the candidate's chances. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
Well, several years ago, 2018, Lori Zaff was running for re-election as a city councilwoman in a district. She had no scandals, no big problems. People seemed to appreciate her leadership. She lost by 15 points by the most tenuous connections that Labor and Democrats were able to make between her and Trump. Kevin Faulconer, on the other hand, has pretty strong connections. He endorsed him. He went to the Oval Office, that sort of notorious photo. And I think it's been a very powerful point that the Democrats have made, and they've been on TV during the Padres playoff games. They've been all over the mail with this sign of he stood with Trump, and billboards too. And that's their main case. Is like the outside groups are putting about $2 million in, but about three-quarters of it is supporting Kevin Faulconer. The rest is going to say, like, Kevin Faulconer stood with Trump, and that's their theory, is that it would sink him no matter how good his attacks on Tara Lawson-Remer are.
If by chance Faulconer wins against Tara Lawson-Remer, how might that victory impact San Diego County as a whole?
I think the biggest area it'll impact immediately is housing in the unincorporated areas of San Diego County. There's a general plan in place for where you can build housing, thousands and thousands of units. Tara Lawson-Remer and the Democratic majority of the county right now are really putting constraints on that housing. And Kevin Faulconer wants to let those be built in those areas that are planned under the general plan. Those are thousands of units and would make a big deal, and that's why so many builders are involved in the race right now.
Let's turn our attention to the San Diego mayor's race. There has been a lot of money thrown into that race recently. There's the $1 million that was given by the Lincoln Club. Much of that is going to be spent on challenger Larry Turner. Yeah. There's another $300,000 from PACs supporting Mayor Todd Gloria, the incumbent. What does that say about that race right now? Well,
that's about what you would need to make the case for any candidacy for mayor. You have to have enough money to run for mayor, and you have to make the case that A, the incumbent has to go, that they need to lose their job, and B, that you're the one that deserves to replace them. And that second part was really where Larry Turner was struggling, because nobody or very few people knew who he was. That $1 million coming in from an outside group to support him, to put ads all over YouTube and such, should help him get his name recognition up. Now, the problem is we've already had 2 weeks of voting, and people have already made their choices, and every hour that goes by that he doesn't change people's minds is an hour that benefits the incumbent.
There is also a contentious council race in Chula Vista, the effort to replace Andrea Cardenas, who pleaded guilty to 2 counts of felony grand theft. What's been going on there? Well,
there's 2 candidates, Rudy Ramirez, who's been on the Chula Vista City Council before, and Cesar Fernandez. They're going at it. It's kind of this old South Bay alliance with the newer one that's there. They're always going, it's Democratic, but they're always going at each other. And they're trading just awful accusations back and forth. Cesar Fernandez accuses Rudy Ramirez of not paying taxes, of not treating his employees well. Rudy Ramirez accuses Fernandez of a DUI, and there's a recall effort for him. He's on the Chula Vista Elementary School Board. So it's a really negative campaign. But I think it represents that sort of, not old guard as in like older people, but just an establishment, more conservative versus this sort of growing, more progressive group that's trying to take control of the Chula Vista City Council.
Thank you, Scott, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And a quick reminder that you can find all of our Public Matters stories, events, and more online. Just go to kpbs.org/Public Matters. Part of our Public Matters coverage includes Project 2025, one of the many undercurrents of the presidential race. Amitha Sharma has a series of stories on the conservative plan for government. Here's one of those reports on Project 2025 and how it might affect reproductive rights.
Project 2025 was crafted by the conservative think tank the Heritage Foundation. A hallmark of the document is reviving the 1873 law called the Comstock Act. It bans mailing items that could be used for an abortion. UC Davis law professor Mary Ziegler specializes in the politics of reproduction. She says because all abortions in the U.S. involve the mail, this would amount to instituting a national abortion ban. She adds that people may not understand what's at stake because they still believe that extreme outcomes are unlikely to happen.
Until they've happened. I mean, that was true with the overruling of Roe v. Wade. The other thing I think that people don't understand is that this kind of outcome could be engineered without Congress, without voters. It would require control of the executive branch and the federal courts. And that seems achievable, even if American voters don't want it to happen.
An Associated Press poll in June found that 70% of Americans believe abortion should be legal. Ziegler says she's uncertain about what a challenge to the Comstock Act would look like.
We haven't really seen anyone attempt to enforce a 19th century criminal law in the present day. We don't know how successful they'd be or how determined they would be to enforce it, but I think it's safe to assume the consequences would be really serious and kind of hard to imagine, from where we stand now.
Former President Donald Trump has denied he will implement Project 2025 if he wins the presidential election. A CNN report found 140 people who worked in the first Trump administration helped write the plan. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
So now let's dive into some of the offices up for grabs, starting with a couple of high-profile races in North County. Tanya Thorne is covering a closely watched congressional race. First, here's John Carroll with a pivotal race for county supervisor.
If you live in any of these locations, you're in San Diego County's District 3, and you have a choice this election, whether to keep your current county supervisor or elect a new one. Tara Lawson-Remer is the current board member, running for a second term.
I'm a surfer, I'm a mom, and making sure we have clean water and a healthy environment is absolutely my top priority.
Other big topics are affordable housing and homelessness.
When I was elected, we had 0 county-supported shelter beds. Countywide, we now have over 900.
Lawson-Remer says she supports banning encampments as long as the focus is on getting people the help they need to get off the streets. Mental health care and bringing down gun violence are also high on her to-do list. She's being challenged by former San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer.
Welcome to Remerville. And the heart of our supervisor district.
We tried numerous times in different ways to get an interview with Faulconer, but we never heard back. His campaign website says he will aggressively build shelters and encourage builders to create neighborhood-appropriate housing. He also promises to protect the environment and make it less annoying for people to work with the government. The Board of Supervisors is nonpartisan, but Lawson-Remer's election in 2020 made it majority Democrat. Faulconer is a Republican, and if he is elected, the board would go back to Republican control. John Carroll, KPBS News.
I'm KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne. The race for the 49th Congressional District seat has been a hot one. Redistricting brought in more Orange County cities, which in the past have largely voted Republican. So Republican candidates always feel confident about flipping the 49th. The seat is currently held by Democrat Mike Levin. If reelected, this could be his 4th term.
We're going to work on everything from the cost of goods, whether it's gas, groceries, housing, or insurance, getting the spent nuclear fuel off our coast at San Onofre, doing everything we can for our veterans, continue to advance bipartisan legislation for them, and trying to get bipartisan immigration reform.
Transportation and climate change are also key issues for Levin, working on securing the low sand rail corridor as well as keeping sand on our beaches. Republican candidate Matt Gunderson didn't respond to our request for interviews, but he recently launched his first political ad and started it off with his stance on abortion.
On a woman's right to choose, I'm pro-choice. I believe abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. I don't want politicians dictating health care for my daughters.
And his priorities?
Lowering housing, grocery, and gas prices, securing the border, and protecting Social Security. We can end the overheated political rhetoric and focus on fixing a broken Washington.
Gunderson is an auto dealership owner and lives in Ladera Ranch.
There are a couple of state assembly races in East County that we have our eye on. John Carroll will tell us about District 79, which includes places like El Cajon, La Mesa, and Lemon Grove. First, here's Scott Rodd with District 75, which includes much of San Diego's backcountry.
Republicans Carl DeMaio and Andrew Hayes are facing off to represent Assembly District 75. The district encompasses most of East San Diego County, including a 50-mile stretch of the southern border, west of Jacumba Hot Springs. DeMaio is a familiar figure in the San Diego political scene. He previously served on San Diego City Council and has since run unsuccessful campaigns for San Diego mayor and 2 congressional seats. He casts himself as a political maverick who isn't afraid to ruffle feathers on the right and the left.
I think that what we need is more transparency on what's going on behind closed doors in the state capitol. Our state legislature does not operate in an open manner with transparency, and the special interests dominate all the decisions. The voice of the people is rarely heard.
DeMaio says his top issues include addressing the high cost of living in the region, reducing crime, and passing laws that support small businesses. Hayes is currently president of the Lakeside Unified School Board. He previously served as district director for State Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones. He says his experience taught him how to get things done even when he's in the minority.
I want to find issues of common ground. That's going to take me working the pavement when I first get elected and going and introducing myself to all of my colleagues who are not Republican and saying, hey, where do we agree? And that'll help my district on numerous issues.
Hayes says his top issues include addressing the high cost of living in the region, improving fire insurance options for homeowners, and reducing the placement of sexually violent predators in East San Diego County after their release from prison. The winner will replace Republican Assemblymember Marie Waldron, who is set to term out. Scott Rodd, KPBS News.
District 79 is arguably the most diverse district in San Diego County. It encompasses the cities of Lemon Grove and La Mesa, along with parts of Bonita, El Cajon, La Presa, Spring Valley, and a big chunk of southeast San Diego. Dr. Akilah Weber's departure from the District 79 Assembly seat threw the race wide open. Dr. Lachey Sharp Collins and La Mesa City Councilman Colin Parent emerged as the 2 top vote-getters in the primary. Parent came out on top, getting nearly 40% of the vote. Sharp Collins received a little over 30%.
It's important for everyone to know that I am a leader who was from the district, for the district, and who understands the district.
Sharp Collins says her lifelong association with the district makes her a better fit than her opponent.
I have worked for the former district director for this particular seat. So with over the 9 years of experience as district director, I have effectively overseen the daily operations of this particular legislative office. Therefore, I have a strong track record of implementing social justice, racial equity, inclusion plans, fostering community engagement.
But Colin Parent says he too is intimately familiar with the district. He points to his nearly 8 years on the La Mesa City Council and the fact that his mom still lives right here in La Mesa in the house he grew up in, just a few blocks outside of the district's boundary. But Parent says there are more important things than where a candidate is from.
Homelessness, top issue for so many people. And the city of La Mesa, we actually doubled the number of homeless outreach workers that we fund just in our last budget. And before I got elected to the council, we didn't have any of that. And then also road repair. We have a real serious unfairness in the quality of our roads in parts of this district, especially parts in the city of San Diego.
Other issues Sharp Collins says she'd tackle include making childcare more affordable and addressing environmental and climate issues that she says impact the 79th district more than others. Parent says, as part of addressing homelessness, it's important to make housing more affordable. And he pointed out that much of the damage done in the January 22nd floods happened in the 79th district. He says stormwater infrastructure must get serious attention in the legislature. Lots of issues for voters to think about as they consider who to send to Sacramento to represent District 79. John Carroll, KPBS News.
And those are just a few of our election explainers. Many more are available at the KPBS Voter Hub. We also have a Spanish version. Look for the link at kpbs.org. There's also plenty of information on voting locations in your area. Well, money is at the heart of many of the decisions made by politicians and voters. Our Public Matters partner Scott Lewis explains some of the bond measures that will affect local schools.
The word bond bond is all over the ballots of San Diegans this year. In San Diego, voters will have to decide on 7 different school bonds. If they approve them, districts will borrow billions of dollars and then raise property taxes to pay them off. Let me show you how it works. Take a typical ballot from Chula Vista. Measure SW is a bond for the Southwestern Community College District. Measure RR is a bond for the Sweetwater Union High School District. And Measure AA is a bond for the Chula Vista Elementary School District. Now look closer at the language of each of those bonds. Measure RR would levy $30 per $100,000 of assessed valuation. Measure SW would levy an average of $25 per $100,000 of assessed valuation. And Measure AA would levy $29 per $100,000 of assessed valuation. Now what the heck does that even mean? It means that your property taxes will go up by a certain amount depending on how much the county values your property. If you own a home that the county values at $100,000, then you would pay $30 more per year if Measure RR passes. Obviously, homes are worth a lot more than that here, but what's important is not what the home can sell for, but what it's valued at by the county. In California, official property values do not go up with the market. They stay pegged to when a home was originally purchased. So if you bought a home for about $500,000 10 years ago, its assessed value is not much higher than that. And if you have an assessed value home of $500,000 in Chula Vista and those 3 bonds pass, you would pay $420 more per year in property taxes. Meanwhile, in the city of San Diego, there's Measure HH, a bond to support San Diego community colleges. If it passes and you have a $500,000 assessed home, you'd pay $125 more per year in property taxes. Unlike other special tax increases, these bonds only need approval from 55% of voters. If approved, districts immediately borrow money, but they don't have to borrow the full amount of the bond right away. So they may not increase taxes at the same rate right at first. This is different from the state Propositions 2 and Proposition 4. Those are not tax increases. Those mean the state can borrow $10 billion each and pay it back. The state may later want to increase taxes to be able to pay those bonds off, but the legislature would have to approve them. Right now, all those propositions do is authorize the legislature to borrow the money. School districts spend most of their money on teachers and administrators, but school bonds cannot be used to pay teachers more. They can only be used to build and repair things, and that's why builders and labor unions for workers that build things like them so much. I'm Scott Lewis, and that's why it matters.
Another money measure on the ballot is Measure E. This one is for all voters in the city of San Diego. Katie Anastas explains why the mayor is asking to raise the local sales tax and where that money would go.
Well, hey, city of San Diego, why the long face? I'm facing a $200 million structural deficit. I'm not bringing in enough money to pay my bills. What are you going to do? Well, I'm asking voters to decide whether to increase sales tax in the city to bring me more money I can spend. Right now, the sales tax rate in the city is 7.75%. I get 1% of that, or 1 cent on each dollar subject to sales tax. This measure would increase the rate to 8.75% and give me another penny. Okay, how much money would that give you? $360 million to $400 million more dollars in the first year, according to the independent budget analyst. I could spend that on things like stormwater infrastructure and fixing potholes.
It is the opportunity to address long-standing shortages that have been around for decades and have held our city back and caused our infrastructure and public assets to fall into disrepair.
Hold on. Who are you? I'm a concerned taxpayer. Don't you want better public infrastructure? Yeah, but I think the city needs to do a better job of managing the money it already gets, even if it means making tough budget cuts. Here's Haney Hong, President and CEO of the San Diego County Taxpayers Association.
What is changing in our spending habits? If our spending habits aren't changing, it doesn't matter how much money is on the table, the problem will not get addressed.
Wow, this is a tough one. Guess we'll have to see what happens in November. And remember, some other cities have sales tax measures on the ballot this year, so be sure to check out our full voter guide at kpbs.org.
And after voters do their job, a team of vote counters will do theirs. Recently, the Registrar of Voters Office tested its ballot counting equipment and gave the public a look at the process. Jacob Ayer shows us how it went.
Add up all the votes that are on all those ballots that you just filled in. It's called a public logic and accuracy test, and what it is an inside look to instill confidence in the democratic process ahead of Election Day.
I don't have a lack of trust, but I would like to have as much information as possible to communicate with people about why they can trust elections.
It was San Diego resident Katie Alexander's first time taking part. She was one of a handful of members of the public and local officials who attended the event. Their role is to fill out mock ballots and then observe as they're tallied.
They have all these protocols in place to make sure that the ballots are counted and that signatures match and that the elections are fair.
Sean Brom is the Assistant San Diego County Registrar of Voters. He says the full public logic and accuracy testing took place a few weeks back with over 150,000 ballots. But this is a condensed version for anyone in the public to take part in.
What we will be doing today is casting ballots or voting on blank ballots, tabulating them by hand, and then using them to scan in the tabulation system to compare the two.
Brom says the tests are to ensure all the equipment functions as expected to properly count votes.
So it is another measure of clear and transparent elections showing the accuracy and the validity of the tabulation system.
Alexander says it also helps to dispel false narratives about election security.
There was never any discussion of candidates. There was never any discussion of politics. It was all about how to manage ballots and make sure that they're all counted.
Brom says the county registrar has offered the public logic and accuracy tests ahead of other recent elections, too. The 2024 presidential election is November 5th. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
And a reminder to join us on election night as the results roll in. At 10 p.m., we will have a special broadcast on KPBS with many of our reporters and commentary from political experts. We will also live stream that broadcast on kpbs.org and on YouTube. KPBS FM will have regular updates throughout the evening as well. We hope that you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thanks for joining us.